I have to say, getting into episode 5 of Yuki Yuna as a Hero, the Great Mankai chapter, a lot of my faith in this series is really being restored as I am really already with this first episode of this arc hooked. And it's something I haven't really felt since probably the Washio Shumi chapter. But this is my thoughts on episode 5, which appears to be the Nogi Wakaba is a Hero chapter. So let's jump into it. So yeah, open up this episode. It looks like they're kind of re-steering the timeline back to the point in which Yuki Yuna has just been cursed. They just saved Togo, and the curse has been placed upon Yuki Yuna, and she's covering it up. It is just the start of the year 301. It's January 5th. The girls are having a New Year's celebration for Fu, who is obviously in the hospital, and they're playing a game that is still a bit too real. It's like they're playing this game with their own little pieces as the pieces on the board, and everything that happens relates to the characters themselves, like Itsuki getting some sort of award for singing, and Fu gets hit by a truck. It's like, why are they... This is like a really mean game, and they're okay with this? Well, after Sonoko's maid retires for the day, being alone now, Sonoko goes and retrieves a box and brings it into the room. And this box apparently is from her family, the Nogi family, that has been passed down from generations. And she claims there's something in there that she wishes that they'd all read together, but she was waiting until they were all together and that they were alone. And what she brings out of this box is this book that's labeled as the Hero's Annals, and apparently seems to be from one of her ancestors, Wakaba Nogi. And Sonoko claims that she wants them to all read it in preparation for the battles coming. And through this book, we're getting the story of the beginnings, essentially. As the book starts out in July 2015, the Anno Domini era, which I would assume is kind of like a spin-off of our current 2015. And this is the point in which the Vertex appeared in what seems like our modern times of the world, and the world itself was flipped upside down. It talks about how despair reigned from above, the Vertexes showed up, they started destroying everything, and the Taisha, this religious organization, knew the truths of this world long before it happened. And so a lot of trust was given to the Taisha as a way of protecting mankind into the future. And now with the Taisha leading the survival of mankind, they evacuate many survivors behind this gigantic wall, this spiritual wall, which is kind of reminiscent to the wall that we kind of see in the current time Yuki Yuna. This divine wall that was created by this divine tree. And in September 2018, all contact with Suwa is lost. They essentially allowed Suwa to be kind of a decoy to keep the Vertex at bay, while it gave them time to prepare to fend off the foes. And the government of Shikoku kind of develops a religious-based policy that puts the Taisha at the head of this project. This project that will establish a group of girls with divine powers that will fight against the Vertex and protect them. And this is broadcast to all the survivors that they now have 5 established heroes: Tamako, Anzu, Yuuna, Chikage, and Wakaba. But despite the fanfare and everybody being really excited these heroes are going to protect them, they couldn't prepare enough, and so we get a brief clip of pretty much both Anzu and Tamako pretty much already dead. Yuuna going crazy and attacking the Vertex. At some point, Wakaba having to stop her. And in the end, when the battle's over, they've lost 2 of their girls, and Yuuna is physically destroyed. But it doesn't end there, because while Wakaba is still angry and she's still reeling from this, Chikage doesn't understand why Wakaba is not broken, why she's not sorrowful what just happened. And we get this brief picture that Wakaba is filled with revenge. And she tells her that I will never feel sorrow until this is over. I've already seen enough and I want this to end. And then following this, we get a brief shot of Chikage looking at social media, which apparently in this world is garbage too. So it's full of people blaming the heroes for not doing a proper job and saying they're all useless despite the fact they just lost 2 of their girls. And then for a brief moment, we get a little bit of a flashback into the time in which these 5 girls first met each other at the school. And they're all kind of introducing each other, and Yuuna comes in, and she's obviously very bubbly and has a sense of wanting to become a hero. Wakaba shows up and challenges her, and they do some sparring matches together, while Wakaba's pointing out the fact that she apparently is imbued with the power of Amano Sakate, and Yuna's like, oh, thanks you for noticing that. And Yuuna keeps pushing in the fact that she just wants to become a hero to protect other people. And Wakaba is the serious character that says, this is serious, take it more serious. But then they kind of come to an understanding in the end of the whole thing. So yeah, overall, I love this episode. Now, I will say I did not like how it was presented, because what we left off with episode 4 was this fast forward from the point of the Sentinels all the way until Yuki Yuna is cursed. And then when we start this episode, we rewind back to the point in which they go through this whole situation with, her gaining her body, Toga giving up her life for the sixth Miko, them going to save Togo, and then Yuuna being cursed again, and then we're back to this point again. I'm really not liking this rewind, fast forward thing that they're doing. It's like, just keep a pace of the story. We don't need to jump around so much. And even still, it jumps to them looking at this book, and it jumps back to the very beginning. It tells how the Vertex show up. Then it jumps forward to when they lose Tamako and Anzu, and then it jumps back to when they first met, and then it jumps back for. It's like, just stay in one timeline. We don't need fanfares injected later on before. Like, it's even more frustrating because we didn't give a chance to know Tamako and Anzu. It immediately kills them off, and then it jumps back and says, okay, now meet them. And it's like, that's not how you build up character deaths. I mean, I guess you could say it's nice because now we know don't get used to Tamako and Anzu because they're gonna die over here. Anyways, that's my only beef, is I really don't like that it's jumping all over the place and it's killing off characters before we even meet them, and now we're meeting them, and it's just tell it chronologically, please. That aside, I love this. I love hearing the origin stories of everything. I mean, we've obviously have established for a long time this one location, this one time frame, the 300-year point, and learning about that. Maybe a little bit briefly before it with Sumiko's chapter, but it's always been around the 300 mark. We never really found out the origins to everything. The point in which, yes, we're establishing that things used to be normal. It used to be a normal Earth planet that they were existing in, and the Vertex destroyed it. It insinuates that obviously there's a possibility that unless the Vertex themselves and the flames really kind of eat at the fabric of existence, that there's a world out there that they can possibly find and remove the curses from it and remove the stain from it in order to reestablish Earth. So having this 0 point is really cool. I like having this establishment that this is our world. This was a normal world at one point, and it just got eaten up by the Vertex. Already, I really like the characters. The character designs are phenomenal. Like, I love these character designs. I mean, it hurts me because, like, I immediately jumped to Tamako, and obviously, again, they just killed her off right off the bat. I immediately fell for Tamako. I think Anju's art style is great. I mean, all these girls look fantastic. Yeah, Wakaba was a little annoying at first because she is the no-nonsense character that has to be broken, and then everybody's happy, and you go through that scenario so many times it gets annoying. Yuuna is literally the spitting image of Yuki, so I'm sure that's implying something there. At the very end of this episode, obviously, they're pointing out the fact that, wait, is this coincidence that she has the same name as Yuki Yuna? It seems like there's obviously a visual similarity there that we're going to get into eventually, but it was interesting to see that each one of these girls seemingly had some sort of feat that they established before they became a hero. It always seems like, at least with the current time, the Taisha select the girls based on them training and showing potential, whereas it looks as if, like, Yuuna and at least Wakaba, both of them, we have shown scenes where they actually are fighting. Like, they have been known for saving people before, and then they're introduced into the Taisha and introduced into the hero system. So obviously showing that they're blessed by the divine long before they're even established and selected by the Taisha and the tree. I will say that it's technically establishing already that Takashima Yuuna and Nogi Wakaba are pretty much ancestors, possibly, of our current team. Obviously, Tamako and Anzu don't make it, so they are obviously not related in any way to anybody current times. The last one is Chikage. And Chikage, I have a question mark in my head already with her. And again, as always, please, no spoilers in the comment sections, even though people do it anyways. Chikage seems like a question mark to me. I'm really curious. Here's my crazy theory that I'm already developing, and this is probably completely left field and not going to happen. But one thing that we note with the current time in 300, at least, it seems like the Taisha have a lot of control, and there's a lot of secrecy that is happening. Like, it doesn't really establish that anybody runs up and says, oh my gosh, it's Yuki Yuna, the one that saves us all the time. Now, granted, within the organization, it seems like people know each other, but it doesn't seem like they're out there putting the girls on billboards. And at least with the 0 year, at least, the 2018 or whatever, it seems like there's a lot of propaganda around the girls. They want people to know. They put, like, these little boards up. They have regular messages sent out. They have these videos. There's, again, billboards. And what happens, there's a lot of social media contact around them. There's a lot of gossip around them. And even though the Taisha are in control, social media looks like I said, pretty much like our current social media, just people outraged and bashing the people that are saving their lives, that are putting their life on the line for them. And I'm wondering if this is the origin story for that control to be put into place, or at least the secrecy put into place that maybe prevents something. It ends the episode with Chikage being very mad about the social media response to what their sacrifices are. And I'm curious if Chikage will be the first case of somebody with divine power that becomes evil. I'm wondering if Chikage will be an evil hero, somebody that will have hatred for mankind and possibly turn against mankind because of how they treat the heroes that are basically dying for them. I think that'll be very interesting. Again, only character that doesn't have a lineage and is not already dead. But either way, I hope that this story has got a lot of legs to it. I'm not going to draw too many conclusions based on the fact that they're halfway through this book, flipping through it, and we've only gotten one episode done. Don't tell me we only have one more episode of story content to go with here based on how far they got into this book. But maybe I'm just totally reading too much into the fact that book is halfway flipped through, because I want a lot of this. This is literally the storytelling that I want. It's fascinating, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Like I said, I have my problems with how it's laying out the story, but I'm eating it up. I'm eating it so much, and I want to see what they do with this one, because this essentially is pre a lot of things change. Obviously, every time we have a season or a story arc, it seems like the Taisha and the Divine Tree or so change the systems in play, giving them shields, having the whole power system they have to go through, the crippling system that they have. All these things that they used cause them disability or death, and the systems change to alter that. And this is like the pure first generation of this, and I'm curious to see how that plays out differently than what the later parts do. Because that's the thing that's always fascinated me with the Is a Hero franchise, is that evolution of the system. I'd really like to go back and reacquaint myself with those systems, because it's always interesting how it changes a little bit to offset the previous disabilities and death. So yeah, super thrilled for this series, super thrilled to learn more about this other Yuuna, super thrilled about learning about the origins and everything. Again, see if my crazy thoughts of Chikage is going to come true. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the 5th episode of Yuki Yuna as a Hero, the Great Mankai chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. Support us on Patreon or through our tips in the description. And we thank everybody that does. And y'all take care.